This is the October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Landmarks and Historic Districts Board of the Town of Southampton. Present are members Vicky Kahn, Tim Ganettis, Susan Clark, Larry Jones, Jeff Gibbons, Bill Hine, and Samantha Malone. Also present, we have town historian Julie Green and David Wilcox, our liaison or assistant or town planning director and helpful person for the board. Okay. The meeting is being conducted, and myself, Stephanie Davis, vice chair for now. This meeting is being conducted under town and New York state law that provides for in-person and remote participation. Individuals may undertake remote participation by going to the link on the Landmarks Board agenda or by going to the meeting portal of the Southampton Town Clerk on the town website. Viewer-only observation is found by activating the live link at the top of the town clerk's meeting portal page. Online participation is being moderated by CTV and tonight by Peter. Thank you very much, Peter. To comment on a particular agenda item, please notify CTV via the chat function so that comments may be made via Zoom. Commentators will need to provide name, agency if relevant, and a place of business or residence. Okay, so we have visitors here tonight, and actually the first item is to approve the September 16, 2025 minutes. The minutes were prepared by Renee. They were circulated to Ed and myself. Ed made some suggestions, after which I tidied them up and circulated them to the board. Does anybody have any further suggestions or changes, recommendations for the minutes? If not, can I have a motion they be approved? Second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. We'll take care of them. All right. We have in attendance, let's see, probably the first one, the applicants for 144 Church Lane. Let's see. This is way down after 38 Vale. Would you like us to come up? Actually, what we'll do first is just talk about the application, and Ed had provided some comments on this particular application. This is application for proposed renovations for an AYB 1920 dwelling, converting the attic to office space, making some alterations to the roof area, adding a front porch, and extending the back deck. And let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, here's the construction application. Okay. This is the existing situation. It fronts on Church Lane and is bounded by other properties on the other sides. Let's see. Scroll down till we can get to some photographs here. Please bear with me. This is all new for me. Nope. So this is the attic space that's going to be converted to office space. Let's see. What else do we have here? This is going to be the new elevation with the attic conversion. There's a dormer, I believe, being added to the second story. It's dormer. And way down. Okay. There's an existing picture of the dwelling. What Ed had to say was that the construction application is to add an expansive shed roof dormer to the existing attic space under a raised gable roof ridge to provide for added living space to the one-story cottage. This is a building recognized in the AKRF survey as a potential or as a historic resource. It's BHHD-117. Entry porch appears to be original to the construction of the house, which is about 1920. AYB of the house is 1922. The town permit records indicate a prior addition of a rear unroofed deck in 1992. It looks like the map information indicates that the house was not present in 1916, but it was observable on the 1930 and 1938 aerials, so that pretty much agrees with the AYB of the house. According to the information Ed unearthed, it was Susan B. Johnson who built the one-story structure at 144 Church Lane. She came from an affluent families from which she received multiple inheritances. And in her early career, she served as a part-time school nurse. Her circumstances allowed her leisure to spend several months each winter in the Carolinas during the 40s and 50s. And she lived in this house otherwise. After her ownership, there were multiple owners of no particular historic note. Ed notes that the neighborhood was the location of a fresh wave of building boom in the 1920s, and similar cottages once dominated the neighborhood. The cottages on adjoining properties have been modified, in one case demolished and replaced by a new home. He found that the proposed alteration of the original build is minimal in impact on the street view to provide the additional living space to accommodate contemporary expectations, and he felt it would not detract from the overall historical character of the Bridgehampton hamlet. So that is his summary of the proposed changes. Board members have anything else to say on this? Okay. Would the applicant like to speak?
Not much more to add.
Okay. Peter, is there anybody on Zoom who has an interest in speaking on this application?
No one on Zoom.
Thank you very much. I would go along with Ed's recommendation of not objecting to the proposed construction here. Will one of you be willing to write the response to this? Would you do it? Okay. Thank you very much, Vicki. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next matter, we have, let's see, we have some additional people here, but the folks who have signed up already is Matt to talk about the Rainer Fish House. And if you folks could please sign in, so we know what application you're here for. We do like to take care of people who have shown up. So we'll take you out of order on our agenda. Okay, let's close out of this one. So I think instead of trying to go through this application like that one, Matt, would you like to speak about the proposed work on the Rainer Fish House, which is a landmarked property?
Landmark property. So I'm Matt Jedlicka from McLean Associates, 437 South Country Road, Brookhaven. This project, sorry about that. So Matt Jedlicka, principal at LK McLean Associates, 437 South Country Road, Brookhaven. This project is a CPF project. It's a historic fish shack, which is basically was used for fixing fishing gear and things like that. It's at 4 Beaver Dam in West Hampton Beach. So the CPF purchased the property with the intent to, I don't want to say restore it, but basically repair it. So it's a repair of the structure as is. There's some dock work and some accessibility stuff that we're planning to add. So the dock that is on the south side of the structure and heads to the east, and then heads up north to the bridge, that dock is in great disrepair, unsafe, and so the intent is to remove that existing dock and rebuild a dock similar size, no treated lumber, all tropical hardwood. We have applied and received permission from the town trustees and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. We have yet to apply for a building permit, so that's why this is kind of like a pre-application meeting. So as far as the structure itself, it's, like I said, a repair. We're not planning on replacing any siding. We will re-roof the structure, but that's essentially it. We're not replacing the windows. The structure was rebuilt after the hurricane of 1938, and it's kind of like parged together with miscellaneous materials that seem like they were either found or, so all the windows are not the same, but that's the beauty of the structure. So, yeah, that's about the long and short of it. It's a repair.
The proposed roof, right now it's a mixture of various vintages of asphalt shingles.
Yeah, right now there's probably some roll roofing on some of it, and then, a single layer of asphalt shingle. So I think the intent would be to re-roof it with asphalt shingle.
Yeah. What's the framing like underneath?
So the framing underneath is going to be, that's in the plan set, is going to be supplemented as part of, so the existing structure does have a pile foundation. It's not outside of the floodplain. It floods. It allows water to come in and water to leave, and we're not changing that. We're not flood-proofing it. We're not raising it. But as part of the dock construction, there'll be piles that are, new piles that get put in for the dock, and on the north side of the building, we'll be putting some additional piles and then sneaking girders through just to kind of sister the existing girder framing that's underneath the building.
Are you planning to leave those diagonal braces that have been placed there?
I don't think there's any intention of bringing them, removing them, because we're also not reframing anything. So I did meet with Sean McDermott and Art Gerhauser at the site because I wanted the building department to understand, like, when you submit this for a building permit, it's kind of unusual, and it's not something they would normally see. So I wanted them to actually see the site and understand what we were planning on doing. So they did raise the framing issue underneath, but that's already, been incorporated into the plans to supplement that. There are, I don't want to call them collar ties, but there's basically, 2x that come across at my head height, which kind of ties in with the framing of the wall. The intent of those is to raise them up to tie them into the roof rafters so that they, become a true collar tie, which will take them above the head height of, some people. So.
Yes, it looks like a couple of them have already been recently added in.
Yeah, I think after CPF had purchased it, there might have been some repair work that was done to try to stabilize. So the western wall, which is the wall with the entry door, there's been some reframing of that. But when you look at it, it's not a traditionally framed structure. You could kind of call it like a pole barn, but half pole barn, half whatever. And like I said, the intent is to basically keep what's there and try to make it so that it's safe, so that it's a structurally stable utility building.
the roof rafters there look fairly widely spaced.
They are, and we were not, and that was a discussion with the building department that, you know, that's lasted since 1939 with snow, and there's no intention of upgrading. So that was also the intent with the repair, is that we don't want to change the use classification, and we don't want to like invite basically a rebuilding of this building. We want to leave it the way it is, and those roof rafters, you know, they're 2x6, they're probably 3 feet on center or something like that, and it's, you know, hasn't collapsed and doesn't appear to have any signs of distress or anything like that. And it's been, like I said, it's been through an awful lot of snowstorms since 39.
Is that space sheathing up on the roof?
No.
As far as the roof sheathing,
Space, is it space?
like a skip sheathing?
Yeah, it's-
No, it's just, you know, it's just one by material.
Or
I
it's,
don't know if it's tongue and groove, but it's not like a skip sheathing type thing.
so that sheathing itself would be fairly weighty relative to, yeah.
Yeah, but again, we're not recalculating any of the loads, and it's been that way for a long time.
Well, since they had asphalt on it, I was wondering if there was a layer of plywood or something in between the asphalt and that looks like old sheathing.
So our intent, I'm not 100% sure, but our intent is to remove the asphalt shingles. If any of that sheathing has deteriorated, to replace it in kind with something very similar, and then re-roof it. You know, it was, I don't want to say it's all salvaged materials, but it, you know, again, the construction is very, very basic.
Yeah.
So the dock that you see in that photo, that section's going to be removed up until the section that turns west and heads towards the reeds. So that whole length there is a removal. So the section that goes to the west, that goes inland, that will be rebuilt. But the section from that point to the bridge will be removed. And then there's a proposed floating dock, because the CPF has been working with the Mauritius Bay project to try to have them as the stewards of the building, and they would like to have the ability to do some of their oyster growing and things like that. So that's why the dock reconstruction is important.
So this is the floating
That's
portion
the
then?
floating portion, and that, like I said, has a trustee's permit and a DEC permit,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, and Army Corps. So all the environmental permits from outside agencies have been obtained.
All right, so as of right now, this would be a new dock area or platform of some kind.
Right, so
This is new,
that's a new ramp
right?
up to a platform that's in front of the door that'll allow, you know, handicapped accessibility
Yep.
into the structure. So that's the intent of that, and then
And this is replacement.
on the south side of the building, it ramps back down because we didn't elevate the dock itself to be the same height as the finished floor.
Okay.
So the dock is a little bit higher than what is currently there, but not the same elevation as the finished floor.
So this is essentially a replacement.
Yeah, it's
This
in the
is a
same exact
replacement.
spot, yes.
And then I think these would be new as well here,
Yeah,
correct?
probably the V section, but then, you know, where the V stops is, there is a dock that does return, or
one.
catwalk that returns to land at that location. So the section that juts out into Beaver Dam Creek, that is new. And then the gangway down to the floating dock, that's new.
Does anybody have any questions about this or comments about this? you know, I've known this property for many years. You know, I've got some relations that spent a lot of time there. So I'm very familiar with the boathouse, and I think it is important that it be kept, you know, in its historically reasonable condition. You know, I understand the needs of the Merchants Bay project for what they propose to use it for, and that there would need to be, you know, certain changes for that. But I appreciate, you know, keeping the existing siding on, keeping the existing bracing on, not changing out the collection of windows, which, you know, it basically was representative of how a lot of these, you know, structures were rebuilt by fishing families after storms and things that washed away everything else. So,
Yeah.
so my understanding right now is this is just a conference to get our input, and that, you know, after you're done with the building department and the plans and you're set with what you want to do, you'll be back for the COA.
So our plan is to, if there's any comment, to incorporate those comments into the plan set and then submit to the building department. If there's no comments, we will probably submit this set of plans to the building department, and then I'll come back to get the COA, you know, after the building department's done what they have to do.
And I would assume at that time, if the building department has made any additional requirements that affect the building, that we would be discussing.
Right, so I think that was my intent, to have them come to the site, and when we discussed it, we discussed the change of use and what that would, you know, lead to as far as a code issue. And so we're steering away from changing the use of like a storage utility classification. So it might change things a little bit for the Mauritius Bay project, but we want to make sure that we don't want to have to rebuild it. We don't want to have to raise it. We don't want to have to add all the code compliant things that might come along with a change of use.
Okay.
So.
With pile driving, you run into a bunch of hurdles that you have to get over with driving piles, I mean, with environmental issues?
No, not necessarily. I mean, we currently have a job at in Montauk for the commercial fishing dock that we're driving piles. You have to get the permits, obviously, but you know, once you have the environmental permits, it's not an issue. It's all those piles will be tropical hardwood because of the ban on treated lumber here. But that is what it is. It's been like that for 20 years or so. But yeah, the pile installation operation, you know, usually goes pretty smoothly. There is the roof overhang, so we can't drive the piles, you know, too close to the building. We have to be out, so there'll be some cantilever structural stuff that we're doing for the dock, and then same thing with, you know, driving the piles outside of the footprint and then doing the girders underneath and kind of sliding those through.
So you're thinking that those quasi-column,
Sorry, your microphone.
or just keep the walls spreading, and you don't rely that much on those outside, those diagonal supports on the edge?
Well, I'm sure the diagonal supports were added, you know, for a reason. Maybe there was some sort of bow at some point in time, but there's a structural band that runs around, not at the top of the wall, but probably 7/8 of the way up, and that's where those ties are located. But if we put them on the roof rafters to minimize that spread, it should be doing the same thing, but just a little bit higher.
All right. If there's no further comments, we'll look to see you again at a future meeting.
Okay,
See you
thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. What's this? Okay, we now also have folks in the audience for 97 Fanning Avenue in Hampton Bays. That is this construction application. Where's 97 Fanning? Fourville. Okay, this is for essentially work that's already been done. This is completed work to convert a flat roof to a usable deck space at 97 Fanning Avenue. Let me see if I can pull up. Pain in the neck. There we go. There's a picture of the completed roof deck. All right. And there is the picture of the house with the roof deck on it. Looks like this was originally, my guess is a porch, an open porch, which may have been enclosed at a later date, had a flat roof, and there's dormers up above here, and so it looks like the porch was, or the deck was added to that arrangement. Criminy. Is Acrobat not responding? Let's just close out of this.
Can I add to that?
Sure, absolutely. Hang on. I have some sort of. Here we go. Just state your name and.
Mark Saladino, Hampton Bays, 97 Fanning Avenue.
Right.
The room in the front was added in, I think it was 17.
Okay.
And with that, it was a sunroom. And it also included all the railings
Okay.
for, aesthetics. And then it was a few years later, just looking at a rubber roof, we put the roof deck up there.
Okay.
It's on top of it. It's not structural in any way. There's nothing. It's just sitting on the roof deck.
Yeah.
itself.
This is on the side of facing Fanning Avenue, or is it on
Correct.
the back side?
No, it's on the front.
It's on the front side, so it's visible from Fanning Avenue. I mean, again, looking at the pictures,
How long ago was that done? I was looking at the aerials, like a few years back.
Yeah.
2018,
Something like that, yeah.
okay, that's,
Yeah.
just-
But it was approved and everything was done as far as the railings were all approved. Everything was fine then. Yeah, I'm sorry that we didn't. We had it recently approved by the building department. The inspector came over and looked at it and signed off.
So when you look at the photos from up on the deck, there's no door leading to that roof deck?
The window.
You go out the window?
it's a window.
Okay. Do you plan on putting in a door, or is it too?
No,
it
it's,
looks like
it's only
too-
about this high, so we
Yeah,
have.
it looks fairly low.
I'm tired of looking at the rubber roof.
That was it?
It's just, it's basically roof, it's roof cladding rather than a deck use, other than climbing out the window. It's very Parisian.
This is for aesthetics.
I mean, it's nicer to look at that with flowers than it is rubber.
So you don't even use the deck, it's just visual,
Couple of times, you know.
okay? So the railing, when was the railing put in?
At the same time, it was approved with the building permit for the,
For the deck?
no, for the building
Oh,
itself.
for the building itself.
It was an addition.
So really, the only change here then is the wood, or the,
Physical, yes,
yeah, the AZAC or whatever it is decking
Yes, correct.
on the surface of the roof.
correct.
Okay, well, there's nothing we can see here that's gonna,
Yeah.
I think, affect the historic value of this property. Anybody have any comments, questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Let's see if I can close this. It's the program. Everything is possessed. Okay,
I can do the response.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Okay. And I think that's everybody here. You're also here for 97? Perfect. All right. And Julie, you're here as part of Beaver Dam or just in general?
Just in general, I want to, there's things I can maybe take some stuff off the bottom.
Okay. Then let's go back to the order of our agenda, starting with 165 Noyak Avenue in Noyak, the proposed demolition of a pre-1941 dwelling, the decking, the walkway, and the shed. Okay.
I did visit the site.
Oh, good.
I didn't know where to send pictures, so I didn't send you. This is a very deep, very narrow lot. And the house from the street is probably 150 to 200 feet back. I mean, it's really a deep lot. And it ends on a bulkhead into Noyak Bay. And this family has owned this house for the last 49 years. And now this husband and wife that inherited it are now wanting to retire, and they've been working for the last 4 years to get the approvals, which they have from DEC and from, they have the approval for a variance for a second floor roof dormer, but they don't have the building department approval yet, obviously. Well, as they should not at this point. Maybe after our review, so. And it's a pretty simple cottage that takes the aesthetic of the nearby buildings into account. Not that they're anything, they're not any kind of amazing pieces of architecture, but they're just beach architecture. And I have no objections. The house is going to be put on pilings. It's going to be raised because DEC wants it raised. So.
Right. I didn't see any reason to object to this either. It's not particularly visible.
No, it's not.
And it's not a recognized historic resource.
And there is one other building on the property, which is a shed, but it's one of those sheds that comes already, cutified, so to speak. It looks like a, gambrel barn, but it obviously hasn't been there very long. But that's going to.
Okay,
And they're moving it back from the water, too.
yeah. And it looked like what they were proposing was not a gigantic structure either, so.
I think they told me they have about 800 square feet now, and they'll have like 1,800 when they're finished.
I don't see any reason to object to this, so. Jeff, could you do the response?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. The next application is 21 Sims Street in North Sea.
I also went there. It's an interesting little street. It's off of North Sea Mecox, and if you come, it bends around twice onto North Sea Mecox. If you come from one direction, you will not know who anybody is because numbers all face the other way. And I was coming from the other direction, so I was like, doesn't anybody on this street post their number? But when I got to the other end and came back, then I saw the numbers. It's actually a nice little cottage.
I went there for their little yard sale.
Oh, I noticed. I noticed there was a one of the outside lights. It said, "Restoration Hardware, $100."
Yeah, it's a cute cottage. It looks like it's been remodeled
Yeah.
before.
But the inside is not as exciting and nice looking as the outside.
Oh, I thought it was charming.
It looks like it has, prior
It has
additions.
Quite a bit of property too.
Yeah.
That comes like, if you where you're standing to take that picture is like where most of the property is
I
over
think
there.
it was the original cottage of that little subdivision.
Yeah.
It looks like this may be an addition on the back. There's that
Yeah.
little roof peeking over the top.
Right. Yeah, there's like there's the one piece and then a long piece this way and then a piece that way and then another piece of it.
Proposed what they want to do?
Yeah, if I can get there. My Adobe it's possessed tonight. I don't know what the problem is. I never have a problem with this.
I couldn't get anything open because I never got my.
I think they're just proposing another one-story residence, but it didn't look like the application had any actual plans for what.
Yeah, scrolling back up. This is the interior.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they've started to move bushes and packing and, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. Anyhow,
Take your appetite away.
it'll wake you up in the morning. Does anybody have any other observations about this one? Any objections to this proposed demolition? Jeff, could you also respond on this one?
Shut up for a while.
Okay. Okay, 12 Bishop Avenue is the next demolition application. And Bill, I think you have covered this one. Let's see if I can get down to.
Okay. So the property presently includes a 1.5-story cottage with an AYB of 1940 and a detached garage with an AYB of 1940, but the detached garage likely dates from 1982 when a building permit and a certificate of compliance were issued for it. The cottage is visible from Bishop Avenue, although the garage is set back towards the rear of the property and is less visible. The application is proposed to demolish the cottage only, though when I spoke to the owner, she informed us that they're going to remove the detached garage as well. The property is not identified as an historic resource in the 2014 AKRF, nor is it identified in the historical profiles of Eastport, Spionk, Remsenburg, and West Hampton. On the 1873 historic map, the original Beaver Dam settlement area can be identified by a grist mill, schoolhouse number 2, and a cemetery near the head of Beaver Dam Creek. On the 1902 historic map, Bishop Avenue has been opened and is noted as a private road, and there are several residences evident along there, all belonging to the Bishop family members who settled in the area of Beaver Dam, somewhat to the north of this property. The subject property appears to be undeveloped and is part of a larger property owned by Charles R. Bishop that contains several structures to the north of the subject property. On the 1916 historic map, the property remains undeveloped and is part of a larger but now somewhat reduced Charles R. Bishop property. On the 1930 aerial photograph, you can see the property, but there is no development of a house as of yet. Collectively, the maps and the aerial photo information indicate that the property was initially developed after 1930, suggesting that the AYB date of 1940 is reasonably correct for the dwelling. The mass is irregular for the house, indicates that a number of modifications and additions have been done to the dwelling. The wood shingle roof has been replaced with asphalt shingles. The siding has been replaced with vinyl siding. All but just a few of the windows have been replaced with vinyl windows. Multiple additions have been added to the original dwelling, including a front porch addition that was later enclosed, and a brick stoop added to it. A second floor shed roof dormer was added. The house was originally 1 story. The shed dormer allowed them to develop the house as a 1.5-story house, and they added the stairs to the second floor, and at that time a stair to the basement. There was a 1-story attached garage previously added to the house. that was then later converted to living space, which may have been why they added the garage in the back in 1982. There's a secondary rear addition was added as an entry off of the previous addition on the rear of the house. There's also a circular basement, which sort of confused me because it tends to be in older houses. We don't tend to find them in houses that are 1940, 1930s, 1940.
It was a big sucker too.
Yes, it was overly large for when you see the
I think
circular.
I've seen.
Yeah.
Should have measured it, I didn't think about measuring.
Yeah. And the framing around it looks like perhaps they dug that basement later and then just added piers and other beams in order to support the floor joists, having taken something out of the middle of the house. Yeah, you can see the curved basement
It seems like nearly
there.
every one of these I've seen,
Oh, wow.
the circular basement was added later as a way to keep from having the walls try to cave in while you're building it.
Yeah, there's another photo, one or two after this.
Go back.
Yeah. When I took a photo of the mechanical equipment, and there's a water tank, oh, it was there for a second. Yeah, there you can see some of the hodgepodge. They just piled up cement blocks and then laid wood members on top of it on the flat. I think it's one before, this one. Why is the water tank recessed into the foundation of the chimney? So my only thought was that perhaps there was a small basement here and they wanted to enlarge it. And as they built the foundation under the chimney and the fireplace, they engulfed the water tank. But
Well, that
otherwise I
other-
couldn't figure out why you would do that.
That's a museum-quality furnace or boiler that's
yeah,
sitting in there.
Well, wrapped in the
I can't believe
asbestos there.
that, yeah, it's all asbestos crap. But
Yes.
that it held up as long as it's held up's amazing.
Yeah. So the property does not appear to meet any of the criteria for consideration as a landmark. And I felt that the Landmarks Board should have no objection to the demolition application, as the dwelling has little or no historic fabric remaining on the exterior. The mass has been modified multiple times, and the detached garage from 1982 is not even an historic resource.
Well, the person that bought that man and his wife, they tend to have been doing that, right? They buy lots
Yes.
and put houses on them, on small
Yes.
lots.
Yeah.
I see no reason to object to this. Anybody else have any? See everybody else shaking their head too. So I think, Bill, could you make the response on this one?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. I come to 54 Hayground Road in Watermill. All right. This was submitted as a demolition application, but it really is a construction application. It does involve some demolition. I think, Susan, you wrestled with this one.
Yeah, and I will say it was. I had to sort the application out because it was a little confusing. If you could see, there were pictures of a replica house or reconstructed house, so it obviously wasn't demolished. But what was demolished was the front porch and the rear deck, and they already received a building permit for that. So I feel comfortable covering that part, and also, briefly the history, but I don't feel comfortable covering the construction part because they're going to be adding a front, they removed that, which was significant, the front porch, and adding something else because there are no stairs to get in. And I received a photograph at 5 o'clock of a house somewhere, and that doesn't, So I think I need a little bit more for the construction, but for the demolition part, and that's actually what the application was made out for, that it was for the front porch and the rear deck. But going to the history, and I think Julie and a former member and Chair Sally Spanberg had done research on that. I ran across you being referenced in AKRF and the Hayground Heritage Area Report, because this is a very significant site and a significant structure in the Hayground area, because it's the former third Hayground Schoolhouse that was formerly located up in the Commons area just to the north. And when a new school was being built in 1912, a Thomas Cale Jr. Purchased it. He was also, I saw later on, a school board trustee. He rolled it down and located it in this triangle of land next to his parents' house, which he had resided in. And the whole triangle is significant because reportedly it was owned by the descendants of Thomas Halsey, one of the original settlers. And I noticed some lopped trees. It's a very significant triangle. But when the application received, there were current exterior photos, and I did an exterior site visit and took some, but there were no before pictures of any kind. The applicant did supply the ones on the left for comparison, and it's obviously, even in 2011, Sally Spanberg had written an article for the Patch and noted the deterioration. It was also mentioned in the Hayground Heritage Area Report and AKRF. So you can see the comparison. First, the applicant said there were no historic materials salvaged, and then later on she said there were, so I need to sort that part out. But you can see them, side by side, that it is pretty much the same, except if you notice on that bottom photo, that's Sally's on the left from that article. There were 6/6 windows, and a lot of those were replicated. New ones, I'm not sure what brand, because there are no architectural plans, no site plan, no elevations, no. But I can see there are 3 windows on the side, and before there were 4, and I haven't been back because I didn't have the original photos to compare if there are any other changes for the construction part. But with that front porch removed, before I would feel comfortable doing the construction part, I would need to know, what it was being replaced with. The rear, not so much. So I guess based on how we often, looked at applications, since this is for work done and they've received the permit without sending to us for review, and I haven't quite figured that one out, but that we often proceed like how we might have suggested if it was before the work was done. So I would suggest objecting to the removal of the porch, and I realize it was deteriorated, but if we could have documented it, a replica porch even may have been something that happened. But I give the applicant credit for saving this structure. So that is a definite plus. So I don't want to do anything that's burdensome to the applicant, but you just need more than, I just feel you need something. If you see boxes that you need to check more than 1 or 2 boxes to put the whole application together. But for the demolition part, I would suggest that we object to the demolition of the front porch because we didn't get a chance to document it, but the rear deck, no objection. And then continue the construction when we get more.
Susan, do you have the photographs of it before it got moved? There are photographs of the schoolhouse in front of the schoolhouse.
Yes, they're in there, yeah.
They're in
So,
there.
yeah, so I had two different ones. So the one, when it's beside the school, and then the one, Sally had a separate one, because, well, it looked like it was taken the same day, but there were people
Yeah,
standing
there
there.
were kids
So, yeah,
outside.
it's
It's
in,
in your report, great.
Yeah, it is. It
it's
is.
farther down.
It's further down. I'm kind of locked up now here. Let's see if I can get out of that and then back.
Just
54.
a great shot of the fact that they were still in the old school while the
Yeah.
new one was being built behind.
Yeah, that's right there.
Yeah.
There we go.
So of course, it's the smaller one on the right, and then the other was cropped for just the,
And it's been in that condition for a long,
what's that?
it had been in that condition for a
Yeah.
very,
And I drove by it, I mean, I'm surprised they got that much work done. I don't see a stop work order posted, I don't see a building permit, I see nothing posted there, but got that much work done. But most people are on mecox, particularly if the workers are cutting, going home or even going to work. And that little section, I haven't been down it in ages, so I've never personally walked around it, which would have helped, but I've never seen it except from the car and the road before.
So, I mean, what we have on deck right now is, it was, the box demolition application was checked.
Yeah.
But they already have a permit for the demolition of the
Right,
front
so they-
porch. So I think it was just the wrong box that was checked here, because all the work that's described in here is renovation work. So it's
Right.
really a construction application. So I don't think we can, opine on the demolition at this point, other than to note that it would have
Well-
been good to be able to document and before they did the demolition. But I guess in my mind, what more information can we reasonably expect to get? It sounds like they don't have any plans for the work that they're doing.
How are they going to get a building permit?
Well,
For
I
that,
guess the
yes.
question is, if they're, the only thing I saw in this is the electrical work that would require a permit. They did, I think, change window locations, and that should require.
But they changed every window,
Well, they
locations
changed the
and,
windows out,
Yeah.
but if you change the location, is my understanding, that's when
Yeah.
you need a permit, not just to replace a window.
right. I thought if you, from what Bill said, if you, a certain percentage, you have to get a permit. If you have, I mean, if you replace a couple windows, you don't have to replace every window,
Right, when the work starts to become substantial.
yeah.
So I guess the question, maybe for the architects in the room here, is the level of work that's being done on this house require building plans that would include things like elevations?
Well, if you're building a porch on the front of a recognized historic resource, I would just think that would require something
Right, it's gonna require.
besides a photograph of a mansion with brick stairs going up to it.
Right, it's gonna require footings, somebody's gotta do the framing of it, and the building department's gonna issue a permit on it, so, yeah, I'd say
I think
definitely.
she's picturing like a smaller type portico thing rather than replacing the whole porch.
Yeah.
But then,
So that, in that case, then this application would be deemed incomplete because they did not submit plans showing, the existing and proposed elevations
Okay.
for the building, which is one of the things we need to understand. So, we had listed this as pending on the
Okay.
agenda because it appeared that it was not complete. So I would suggest that we simply hold it over to the next meeting and go back to the applicant and request the plans and any further photographs that they may have of the pre-construction condition. Were you able to get inside the building to document the interior?
no, I did not, and the reason I didn't, because there were stairs it was padlocked, so, and I had not called for a site visit, which I think needs to be done before the next one. And about a month ago, I had a case of vertigo, and I really didn't think I would even ask for the site visit to go up those ladders. And that was picking up branches after the tree trimmers, but before the nor'easter. So anyways, I think it definitely needs a site visit, because from what her response today was that, oh yeah, the floors are original, ICB, their beams are left, there's framing left, but I'm not seeing any of that in the photographs that were included.
The floors look like they had been refinished, but yeah, obviously there's a lot of other things that have been
Well, if you want
replaced.
to go out again, I'll go out.
Okay,
with
I
you.
will make, okay. Okay, great. Okay, great. And I think the other thing is the way it sits is it's not that I would want to peek in a window, but you can't really see into the house. Unless you
That's why we
go
would need
inside.
access to
Okay,
the
great.
interior.
Schedule the site visit and I'll just let everybody know
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
okay,
So we'll hold this application over to our
Okay.
November meeting, by which time you should be able to access, and they should hopefully be able to provide the plans that they're gonna need anyway for
Okay.
their building permit.
okay,
Okay,
thank you.
all right. Would you like to get back to Renee so that she can provide that information? Susan? Susan,
Oh, pardon?
would you like to get back to Renee and let her know?
Yes, I will.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Okay. Let's see, next application was 10 Hollow Lane in West Hampton. We already decided to pass on a full review. It sounded like it was an identical application to one we've previously reviewed. So that is taken care of. 19 Shore Road in Remsenburg. This is an application for which Bill is the architect.
Okay, so I'll recuse myself and go outside for this one and the next one, 13 Basket Neck.
Okay, and we will summon you back if we have questions or when we're done. Thank you, Bill. Okay. See if I can persuade this to. Okay, hopefully this will behave itself. This is one of a group of 3 buildings on Shore Road that was constructed by a Louis Pearson for his 3 daughters. It is a recognized historic resource in the town of Southampton. This is the front facade of the building. It's facing east, facing toward Shore Road, which used to be called Spionk Shore Road. I have a hard time breaking myself of that habit. Only the very right side of this is visible from the street because there is a large hedge in front of the house. So the only thing that you can view is through the driveway area. The front facade of this house is not going to be modified, with the exception that there is going to be a standing seam roof applied to the top of this front porch. There is a later addition on this side, on the south side of the building, that is presently used as essentially a greenhouse garden room. This room is going to be converted for regular living. It's still going to have the skylights on both the front side and the back side. It is not going to change its footprint. There is also a later addition on the north side that you can see better in another picture, and we'll get to that in a minute, assuming that I can get this thing to behave, which of course it's not going to do. I'm going to get out of there, come back in, and I will see if I can deal with my Acrobat. Okay, so this is the proposed east facade that will face the street. As you can see, there's really no change for the main original volume. The what is the current breakfast room on the north end is going to be demolished and rebuilt a little bit larger than it is now. It's still going to have the windows that go all the way around it, as the windows will also go all the way around on the left side here on the south side of the building. This is the existing north side of the building. The changes that will occur here, including demolishing that breakfast room, which is where all the windows are at the first level, and expanding that a bit. There is also a non-operational chimney there that will be removed. And this is what it will look like when it gets redone. The windows are not going to change, other than the windows, obviously, on the breakfast room that's going to be rebuilt. There is also a little porch addition out the back that is also going to be enlarged slightly. You can't see it in the photograph above. Can't see it in the photograph above because my Acrobat is not working properly. Can't see it in the photograph above because there's a large shrub there. That shrub is obviously going to go away during the construction project. And the other thing that's going to happen here is there's going to be the new stoop out on the back. This is the back side of the building, not at all visible from any street or other public right-of-way. The porch on the left side there is going to be demolished and replaced with a slightly larger one. The garden room / greenhouse room on the south end, which is over to the right-hand side there, is going to be, again, rebuilt and enclosed as full living space. And this is what that will look like. Basically, the main volume is not going to change. The one thing I will note here is they are proposing standing seam roofs for over the breakfast room on the left-hand side there, over the little porch on the back, and also on the porch, the greenhouse room on the right-hand side there. These are the only things that are going to be different, significantly different from the existing construction. The existing other adjoining buildings that were built by the same gentleman or had been built by the same gentleman do not have these standing seam roofs. All right, so let's see if we can see any further things here before. These are pictures of the other two. This is a picture of the, its picture in the AKRF report. Right there, RS-16. And then this is a picture of Lewis Pearson from his obituary. He was a well-known banker in New York City. He was also a big mover and shaker in the West Hampton Beach community, very involved in quite a lot of local organizations. The families lived generally in Brooklyn or Manhattan during the wintertime and summered out here. So the three daughters summered down on Shore Road in Remsenburg, and the parents lived in West Hampton Beach in a rather large house there. So I have no objection to the proposed work. I think the only thing that would be better from a historic preservation standpoint is to replace the existing roofing on those porches in kind, and rather than with the standing seam roofs. And I think Bill was also in favor of that. It's his client that was driving the standing seam roofs, and perhaps the contractor as well. So
what you'll be able to see from the drive, that one area is this new northern.
You'll be able to see the, see if I can pull it up again.
That will be a focal point.
Yeah, you'll be able to see, criminy, this is just driving me nuts. I don't know what the problem is. What's the program? Oh, there it is.
It seems to me, I have a question, so the second-story roof is going to be replaced with a new cedar shingle?
Yes. Yes.
But all
in
the
kind.
lower, yeah.
All the lower roofs are going to be
And
the
this is the
standing
client
seam roofs.
request?
They're not particularly, they have enough slope on them that they could be either asphalt or cedar shingle without a problem, at least according to my conversations with Bill. They don't have to be something else.
But the client wanted the standing seam?
I think it's some pleasant combination of the client and the contractor. And just for full disclosure here, the contractor that's going to be working on this is the same contractor who did work on my mom's house a couple of years ago, so I'm kind of familiar with his mode of operation. And not a surprise that he's proposing this kind of roofing.
I see.
Well, it seems to me like if you went, if you were going with a standing seam roof, do a true standing seam roof that's a little more period than the kind you buy from the lumberyard today that snaps together. And so, you know, if it was a standing seam roof, obviously a painted or finished surface on it.
Yeah, the thing is that none of the other, of the three houses here, none of them have a standing seam roof. Oh, actually, this is the one of the other houses. There's three of them here. See if I can get down to the last one. This is not 19 Shore Road. This is actually a mislabeled in the AKRF report. This is actually one of the other sisters' houses here. And then I can come back out and pull in again and go right to the bottom. You can see the third house. That's one of the houses. And then, yeah, it's driving me nuts. Anyway, the other, of the three houses, this would be the only one that had standing seam roofs on it. And if we were to try to establish some sort of thematic, you know, historic district around these houses and perhaps some of the other houses in Remsenburg that were built in the 1920s, it just wasn't something that was used at that time. So it's just not, in my mind, historically appropriate for these houses in this community. So,
Do you think it's got enough slope to carry a wood shingle roof?
according to Bill, it has enough slope. Yeah. And there didn't seem to be any indication of deterioration or leaking or anything from those roofs. So, all right.
It would be nice if the shingles went back on it. I mean, we've had instances where, when there was a concern about leakage because of a low slope, that you do a lattice work that creates an airspace under the shingles, but before you do that, you apply like Grace Ice and Water Shield first, continuous, and then put the lath on top and then the shingles and the flashing, associated flashing and stuff. And they last just fine.
Yeah.
But, so.
Okay. Does anybody else have any further comments on this one? Any questions for Bill? And Peter, I keep meaning to ask, is anybody in the audience raising their hand on any of these?
No, no one's been on Zoom this meeting so far.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will make the response on that one. And the next one is 13 Basket Neck Lane. This is a house that's right down the street from where I live, so I'm pretty familiar with it. It was built, there we go. Hang on a minute. Put these aside. Okay, this is an AYB 1901 dwelling that is a recognized historic resource. It's RS 25 in the town's survey. And then I provided a bit of a summary for this. It was constructed as a summer home somewhere after 1902 when it wasn't there, and by 1916 when it was there. That I was able to find some newspaper clippings that referred to its construction, which was definitely had been built by 1911. So it's probably a circa 1910 building. It was originally built for a lawyer by the name of Albert E. Siebert. And they basically had a home in the city, and they built a cottage out here. This area, this whole general area, was known as Remsenburg's cottage colony for the summer. And there was a lot of reports of, people arriving for the summer and their various goings-on, and then when they closed up their house and they went back to the city. Albert Siebert and his wife had 3 children, 2 of whom remained in the area after Albert's death. Albert was apparently, he was a lecturer and big on the some religion movement, and there's reports of him actually preaching at our local church on occasion. After Albert passed, his wife, we believe, stayed there, but the 2 people who remained were his son, Ormond Siebert, who married Alexandra Joyce, and then his brother, King Siebert. Both Ormond and King Siebert are buried in the Remsenburg Cemetery. They both remain locally. When I was a kid growing up, Dr. Siebert, who lived in this house, was still with us. The little shed in the back was where he had his practice. He was an osteopathic physician. So it remained in the Siebert family until sometime in the 1980s when it left the family. After it left the family, it's had additional owners since that time. And of course, this is pain in the neck. All right. This is what the house looks like today. It looked quite a bit different when it was actually photographed for the 2014 survey. It was yellow at the time. It had asbestos shingles on it at the time. It had green trim. It was quite distinctive. And an owner after this time has considerably changed it. All the windows, with the exception of one, have been replaced. Let's see, this is the front of it now. It's more of a shingle style house with white trim, kind of looks more copacetic with our local area. But all of the windows, with perhaps that one exception, and then I think there's one in the back as well, have been replaced. Let's see if I can scroll down. Okay, so this is what's proposed. There's an addition proposed on the south side. By the way, this is the side that faces Basket Neck Lane. It's pretty visible from the street. The north side is also visible from the adjoining Nickerson Lane. This addition will be visible from the street side, but there's really no other changes proposed for the facade on this side other than removal of the brick chimney. Oh, please, don't send me a report. All right. All right. This is the side of the building on which the addition will be made. Okay, so this is the existing south side of the building, and the addition will go on this side, and it will essentially mimic the form of this side. And you can see the addition right here. This is the main volume underneath. There's going to be some changing of the windows, and a vent up here, and then there's going to be a big dormer out the back that will be added. A little porch over here on this side, a little porch out the back. This is the back of the house. This house, the back is not at all visible from any of the surrounding streets. It's fenced and it's got a big hedge around it. You just simply can't see it. Very plain in the back. A little tiny dormer up here that may have an original window. This is definitely an original window. It's got wavy glass in it. The other windows have been replacements, and they're kind of oddly spaced on this volume. All right, let's see if I can get this down. No, it's not responding. Close it up, open it again. And let's see if we can get down to there quickly. Okay, so here's what's proposed for the back of the house. Oh, criminy. There we go. Here's your extension on the south side, addition on the south side. Here are the two new dormers on the back, which essentially mimic the dormers in the front. The existing upper dormer here is going to be enlarged somewhat. There will be sliding glass doors out the back, but again, this won't be visible. There is one little window here that's original that will be lost, and I was going to recommend that this be salvaged. You'll see that there's some windows added in the side of the dormers here, and they are of a size that could be, that little window could be reused. This is the north side of the structure. It faces Nickerson Lane. Lots of shrubbery and stuff. It's very difficult to see this side of the house from the street. You can see a little bit of the hedge here along the road. Again, very, very difficult to see. Let's close out of here. Close. Close it. Yeah, I think that's probably not a bad idea. This is just crazy. I never have this problem. All right, here's the proposed north side. What's going to happen here is there's going to be some windows changed up top. Here's the new dormer out the back. Here's that upper dormer, and here's a little spot where they might be able to reuse that little window up top. They are going to be lifting this house and putting a full basement under it, which originally these people, when they purchased the house, they were planning to demolish it. Because they wanted a big basement so they could have the gym and all the stuff underneath. And Bill has convinced them to keep the house and simply to lift it. This will be the exterior access to the basement. So you will see this from the side to the extent that it's not obstructed by fencing and hedging and everything else. So I have no objection to the proposed revisions on this. That the building has been modified previously. Again, I think all but 2 or 3 of the windows have been replaced. And I think actually the addition proposed on the south side, I think enhances the appearance of that side and the back of the building. So I have no objections. Does anybody else have any comments, objections? Yeah, I think so. I think people will be happy with it. All right, I think I'm going to take your suggestion and try to reboot this. And it may take a few minutes. Just get out of here. Restart. All right.
The computer. We had to reboot the computer.
Yes, my Adobe seems to be possessed. Maybe I haven't re-upped it, although I should have by now. Has it been? I've used it for years. I've used it at work. I've used it at home. Yeah, I purchased it, and I've just never had this kind of problem before. Oh, I hope. Oh, yeah. Well, the one problem here, I'm on Windows 10, and this computer is so old, I cannot update it. Oh, well, that's underway, but it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I know. I think by the time we have our next meeting, I will have my new computer. Okay, the next application is for 50 East Tiana Road in Hampton Bays. It's a proposed addition to a detached garage. And after our initial review, we have decided to pass on a full review of this application. So that takes care of that one. And then there was 362 Montauk Highway in Eastport. which is an existing fence and a deck for a circa 1873 dwelling, which is identified as a historic resource. This is another one that, after an initial review, the board determined that this application does not warrant a full review. All right, let's see if we can have some life this time. The next one after that is 57 Hampton Road in Noyak, which is a construction application. All right, we don't need teams up, thank you.
I did go by this one also.
Okay.
It is literally a two-car garage that basically, I don't understand why they're adding a second floor other than to get more people into the house. I don't know. It's a simple cottage. The house is a simple cottage out by the water. This is way back. This is another one of these deep lots, and it's right off the road, the garage. So it'll be in your face as you drive down this not a very busy street. I mean, it's in Pine Neck, so all those streets go like into each other and do all kinds of things that you can get lost in.
This garage doesn't look like I mean, the only thing that even suggests any sort of historic character is that little gherkin roof.
Yeah, the jerkin head, yeah.
Yeah.
There is one on the main cottage. So, yeah, but you couldn't tell. It's all, asbestos shingle and vinyl.
I also drove past this one tonight on the way here. And I think what's different is it's down the road from Noyak, the other property that we just demolition. This one is not really it's another, it's set back, but it's not invisible from the street. You actually pull up if you're on the corner and you see the water, especially at sunset when I was driving by. It's actually really beautiful. So that view is going to be impacted by having a second story here. But again, it's not really a historic structure. To me, I feel sad for this neighborhood where there's a lot of single story structures that are obviously not going to be preserved for any reason. But the views that you can see now while we still have one story, are beautiful.
Yeah.
The door to the garage there that you see on the right was open. So I went in, I opened it. I didn't go in, I just opened it and looked in. It's all finished inside, but it's got a ton of junk in there. All the walls and the ceiling are beaded board. And it's got this fancy fan up with the garage door opener. I don't know. I saw was somebody well connected out here, let's put it that way.
Yes, it's Ed Burke Jr.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a garage. All right. I think this thing has gotten worse.
And really, for the second floor, it's not a full second floor. It's a like a Cape Cod roof. But one side, they're getting a variance for zoning.
So that's what it's going
I
to look
guess
like.
it is sort of like a full second floor, yeah.
Yeah. I much as we'd miss the roof, or miss the view, I don't see any reason to object to.
No, I wish I could show you this picture, but it shows you how far that garage is from the house, and that there's water views on the sides, that the height is not going to change. Although, across the street, there are houses that probably from their second floor could look across and see water, but won't be able to.
Okay, well,
It's kind of a dense area.
yeah. Well, I was looking at some of the pictures that they submitted, and it looked like there was a bunch of two-story things all around.
Yeah, I mean, every time I go down there, there's another house that's been whipped down and new ones going in. It's a real turnover.
All right. Do we have any objection to this proposed?
Do you want to object?
No objection, I wish we could save the one story, you know, all the little cottages up there, but I don't see any historic value to this garage or,
Yeah, I don't even
the
know if
change.
it's original to the house.
Jeff, could you do the response? Okay, we have already dealt with 97 Fanning. 38 Vale Avenue. Completely locked up now. There we go. Right.
Okay. So the proposed construction application is for the installation of solar panels and a battery wall set back on the south side of the dwelling. The Landmarks Board does not have purview over the solar panels, but does over the battery wall. The detached garage in the back is not included in this application at all. The property is not listed in the Town of Southampton AKRF Historic Resources Survey, but it is listed in the East Quogue Hamlet Heritage Area Report from 2014, which notes that the house does not show up on any of the historic maps. The AYB of the house is 1910, the AYB of the garage is 1940, patio was added in 1980 and a shed in 2015. But it does appear more likely, because of the historic maps not showing the house, that the dwelling really was created more around 1920. The certificate of occupancy wasn't issued until 1970 for a two-story house, a garage, and a coop. Built prior to 1957, there was no evidence of the coop existing any longer. The 1873 map indicates that no structures exist in the immediate area at that time, and Vale Avenue had not yet been created. The 1902 map indicates that no structures exist in the immediate area at that time again, and the property now appears to be owned by David A. Vale. The 1916 map indicates again no structures, and it's still owned by David A. Vale. The East Quogue Hamlet Heritage Area Report lists this as number 115, and they just call it house. I guess they didn't have any personages to link it to, and they consider it to have been constructed in 1920. What they noted was this home was a 1.5-story vernacular farmhouse with a gable roof that was enlarged with engaged shed dormers at each side. The home has a central brick chimney, cedar shingle siding, an asphalt roof, 2/2 double-hung windows with wood storm panels throughout. A single shed roof entry porch is supported by turned columns. The house is not shown on any of the historic maps, and therefore the 1910 construction date shown in the town records appears inaccurate. A circa 1920 construction date appears more likely. The subject building may be considered as a landmark under the town code, depending on the age of the front and rear shed dormers. If they pre-exist 1941 and have some historic context to them, but if they came in the 60s or 70s, then they've changed the mass of the house enough that I don't know if it would be considered as a landmark. All of the exterior of the house appears to be in very good and serviceable condition, and much of it's historic, and much of it is of historic interest and value. The shingle siding has recently been replaced. There's a little bit of siding to do on the front porch, which is currently being renovated. The original true divided 2/2 wood double-hung windows with wavy glass and the wooden storm sashes are all in excellent condition and have just recently all been restored. The covered front entry porch is currently being restored. The 2 second-floor engaged shed dormers are previous additions, but it's unknown if they were built prior to or after 1941. There are also 2 rear wings that also are prior additions with unknown construction dates. The covered front porch may also have been a previous addition. It's hard to tell as well. The Landmarks and Historics Board should have no objection to the proposed battery wall installation. It's on the left side of the house, about 10 feet behind the electric meter. It's off of the driveway, and the owner reported that he's going to create some vegetation to hide both the electric meter and this battery wall behind it. And the battery wall is all of 30 inches by 42 inches by 8 inches deep. It's not, when you say wall, you kind of think maybe it's a lot. It's really just a panel that hangs on the wall. It's smaller than the windows on that side of the house. Yeah, so I had no objection to it.
And Bill, even though we don't have purview over the solar panels, I think you noted that the solar panels on this side of the house, the front side of the house, are going to go on the top of that dormer, so they're not necessarily going to be particularly visible from the street.
Yeah, even at the street, you couldn't really see any of the shingles that are up there. Typically, the solar panels do stick up a little bit, but again, it's such a high and flat pitch shed dormer. I don't really think it's going to do any damage to the look of the house historically. And it matches the dormer on the back, so again, when you're in the backyard, you'll have to go back quite a ways before you see the solar panels.
I don't see any reason to object to the battery wall. And it's really nice to see that somebody is taking very good care of their historic home.
Yep.
Bill, do you think it was moved there?
That I don't know. It could have been.
Yeah, just curious with the wavy glass and
Right,
that maybe it was somewhere else.
yeah. And then somehow shifted to this lot when they subdivided all the properties. Yeah, that could be.
So you know that, they moved
Yeah.
a Tiana life-saving cottage is right down the road or up the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was moved.
Okay. All right, next on deck is COA discussion that we've had previously for 2405 Montauk Highway in Bridgehampton. And what's on deck, as I understand right now, is just the 3 awnings. Dave, do you know if they resolved their violation? Because that was the one thing that we...
Yes,
They have.
they paid the fine and it was
It's done.
closed out.
Okay, so it's, ball's in our court now to issue the COA. And they've removed the signage on the windows. And what we're left with is the 3 awnings, which I think we had some pictures of the awnings sent over, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, there's some graphics showing what they're going to look like. And let's see if I can zoom in here. Not causing us to have a heart attack again. So, and I think Ed previously circulated some other pictures showing awnings in the Bridgehampton Historical District that were similar to this one. I don't see any reason not to issue the COA for these. So if everybody's okay with this, we will go ahead and do that. Vicki, could I ask you to take care of that response, or I'll be happy to work with you on it if you, okay. Okay, and then we've addressed 4 Beaver Dam Lane, and then we,
I think you need a reso on that COA.
oh, okay. Let's see if I can formulate something here. Resolve that Landmarks and Historic District Board issue a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed replacement of 3 awnings on the north and west sides of the commercial building at 2405 Montauk Highway in Bridgehampton, pursuant to the proposed plans for said awnings. Do we have a proposal? Move? Second? Everybody in favor, or all in favor, say aye. Any objections? Okay. We'll have to do a reso. We'll work on that. And then we addressed 4 Beaver Dam Lane in West Hampton that we will see again. And then there's 2422 Montauk Highway in Bridgehampton. Let's see if we can close out of this one. Come on. All right. You don't wanna... There we go. This is for proposed signage in above the window and in the window of a nail salon. And so here's the existing exterior. And let's see, we can get to the proposed exterior. Okay, so the proposed exterior has the Glamour Nail Salon above on the facade of the building. And then it has the Glamour Nail Salon written there, and then there's some text here on the window. And that's what it's going to look like. Does anybody have any comments on this particular?
Isn't this the application we actually went through already?
Yes,
Or was
this is
missing something.
It was, I think it was missing actually the sign on the building itself. Yeah, man. Pain in the neck.
I think it was
I
just.
thought it was the
interior.
paperwork. I
It was
thought-
just the interior.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was interior renovations before, and
That's
we
it.
asked to review it because we didn't know if any of the interior renovations were going to affect the exterior appearance, and we confirmed that they weren't. But now this is for the signage, which obviously does affect the exterior appearance.
Are those just letters, or is it a physical square sign?
It looks like it's letters to be applied to the building. And then there's a sign that's going to be applied to the glass, and then there's, it looks like a list of services to be applied to the glass here. And that's the sign relative to the side of the building. It looks like it's a 14 and an 1/8 inch total height of the 2 sets of letters. Does anybody have any comments on this?
Line is about 7 inches high.
Each line is 6 1/4 inches high, and there's an 1 5/8 in between them. Or, is that, am I reading right? Yeah, it's an 1 5/8, it looks like, between them, between the 2 lines. So basically, the total sign height is going to be something like this, a little over a foot. Not very large. Hang on a minute. This is, I'm gonna have to open this again. Are you talking about the next door neighbor?
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, there's one next door that is not the subject of this application.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is this existing hair salon, which we've already looked at the hair salon, and then this is the nail salon, which it looks like the sign height for each sets of 2 lines is about the same. So,
I didn't see any indication of lighting on it.
either absence or presence of lighting. Well, that's, yeah, I don't think that there is. I didn't see anything in here that's going to suggest. Here's what it says. Anchorage will be reviewed and signed off by engineer record. Anchorage, talking about anchorage of the sign. Yeah, I didn't see anything here suggesting wood material, 1 1/8 inch thickness, painted black with an Arial font. About as basic as you can get. Does anybody have any issues with this proposed sign? Okay. We're gonna need a reso for this then. So the resolution would read, the proposed signage on the commercial building and the 2 associated glass windows as proposed in the application for 2422 Montauk Highway Bridge, Hampton. No objection there too, or something along that lines. Does anybody have any better wording for this?
Well, you're not saying you object or not object. What you're saying is you approve
You
the COA.
approve the COA. Okay, so we would approve the COA for 2422 Montauk Highway Bridge, Hampton, specifically for the proposed signage on the facade of the building and on the 2 windows as per the application. Motion to approve, second? Second, okay, all in favor, say aye. Any objections? No objections, okay. We'll work on some language for that. Maybe Vicki, you could help me with that one too. We'll work that up. Okay, next on deck are 2, come on. That's one way to close it. 2 landmark applications. The one on top is for 53 Foster Avenue in Hampton Bays. This is submitted by Amy Paradise on behalf of the Hampton Bays Historical and Preservation Society. And it's for 53 Foster Avenue in Hampton Bays. There's a lot of information been submitted with this application, including copies of deeds, information about the construction of the house, but there have been no photographs submitted, and there's really not a comprehensive narrative of the history of the property. The property is owned by a 53 Foster LLC with an address in Bronxville. So it's I think not clear. I mean, this is not submitted by the owner of the building, it appears. I would suggest that we take a deeper look at this application, perhaps to take some photos, perhaps to try to do better documentation of this building. The building is not recognized in our 2014 survey of historic resources. I also could not find it in the 2 Hampton Bays Hamlet Heritage Area reports that were done, by the Mollers. So it's not clear that it has any prior recognition as a historic resource. So I believe the property is reportedly for sale. I don't know that for a fact, but
I've seen the sign.
You've seen the sign for that. So, I mean, Julie, do you have any information about this property?
Just from Amy herself has spoken about it, that it had gone up for sale, that it is a very old structure that has been somewhat modified, but may have been built from like a shipwreck, some of those type of things, but nothing specific to, but she may or may not be related to the family that,
Yeah, Amy may be related?
Yeah, I think it's all Foster and.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she descends from.
Is she
lives
related
in
to
a
the,
landmarked
is
home.
she related to the or to
I
the
don't-
owner?
I don't think so, not
Okay.
anymore.
All right,
But she may have been related to somebody that lived in it previously.
okay,
I could be wrong on that, but she lives in the Rookery,
Rookery, okay,
which is landmarked on the opposite corner of Lynn and Shinnecock.
okay. Okay.
Which I think was built by the Skidmore family.
Yeah. I think honestly, we need to do some more research on this property to, more fully document it, and certainly before we could recommend to the town board landmarking. And I think one of the things we'll need to assess is whether the owner would be willing to have it landmarked. So, I think maybe we could have a discussion afterwards as to who might be willing to take this little project on. So,
And I can even
that would
take
be,
it on. Sure.
you would take it on?
Sure.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Awesome.
Because it's, there are a bunch of structures there that are in that Ponquag,
Yeah.
that are foster family. We have two landmarked buildings. We have the Penny House, which is Richard Casabianca's house, which is landmarked. He also has another foster house that he's always talking about. That should be landmarked. And then the Rookery is landmarked. So there are a bunch of houses in that neighborhood, especially the Fosters.
Yeah.
Alonzo Foster, who's a big Civil War veteran, his home is on that street too. So it's definitely worth taking a look in to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've looked at other houses along that street too, and I'm very familiar with it. I'm sure many of us are from going down to the beach. So there's definitely worth looking at, for sure. Okay, great. Maybe I can give you, an assist with that. And yeah.
Let's work on it. Yeah.
Okay, good. And then the other new landmarking application is for 116 Montauk Highway in West Hampton. This is the West Hampton Community United Methodist Church. Bill and I had the opportunity to go there late last week and to more thoroughly document some of the aspects of the building. Beautiful stained glass windows in this building, including two Tiffany windows that are just spectacular. And we found a number of other, interesting architectural things. This is an application where they would like to go in parallel with landmarking and with applying for historic facade easement, particularly for the church building, at least at this point, and maybe also for they have a rectory there as well. And they also have a garage. And it looks like the rectory and the garage may be of similar vintage construction. And we got to look at all three buildings while we were there. So I think we'll be working up a narrative report for that to document it before we actually go to making the landmarking recommendation. So that takes care of that. 439 Hayground Road in Bridgehampton. We have sent a landmarking recommendation to the town board. Does David or Julie, do you know anything about what's happened with that? Wasn't this one where there was a development right? Or is that a different one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, no, that's the development right, and the hearing is on November 12th, I believe.
Okay,
Which is Wednesday because Tuesday is Veterans Day.
okay. And that's the hearing to,
It's the continuation of the hearing on the landmarking and opening up the hearing on the development right.
okay. Is there anything for us to do other than attend that hearing?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, 292 Majors Path in North Sea. A landmarking recommendation was to be sent to the town board, but this one has been deferred at the owner's request. And David or Julie, do you have any further information about that one?
Yeah, I think, Susan, you had done a lot of work on that house on 292 Majors Path. He was very interested in getting historic facade easement, which would have been the reason for him to landmark that was not approved. So, you know, we weren't moving forward with the advisory board to do anything at this time, so.
Should we leave this on the agenda, or should we take it off for now?
I think we could take it off.
Yeah, unless the owner has an interest in landmarking without the facade easement. Yeah, that was my understanding as well.
Yeah.
Okay. 65 Old Riverhead Road in Hampton Bays. This is the David Berluke home and studio. I think Ed
was still working on the
Still working on the
report. He
report.
wanted to add to what I had initially done. So that's where we are with that.
I'll reach out to him and see, you know, where we are with that.
Yeah.
Okay, 11 Walnut Avenue in East Quogue and 149 South Country Road in Remsenburg. These landmarking recommendations have been made.
Right.
We've had the town board work session, and October 28th in the evening is the town board meeting, at which time I'm hopeful that they'll go ahead and landmark both properties. These are subject to the receipt of easements, which I understand the easements have been negotiated with both property
Right,
owners.
yeah.
And that's underway.
Yeah, they'll be going in front of the planning board on Thursday.
Okay, yeah, and I'll be at that, I'll be at the public hearing on the 28th. 29 Dock Road in Spionk-Remsenburg. This is a landmarks maintenance award. I've been in contact with the owner on this. We've deferred this a couple of times. He hasn't, he wanted to get his easement, which he now has, so he can afford to do the window repairs. And meanwhile, the people who are doing the window repairs for him seemingly have vanished. So we've made some recommendations for other people who might be able to do his windows. I think I just turned it off. Interesting. At any rate, to be continued. I don't think he may not get it done this round. We'll see. And then the North Sea Schoolhouse, we have the 2025 maintenance award to them. Did we receive the final invoices? We're still waiting on those. All right. And they know what they need to get us, right?
I emailed them.
That's what I thought. So, pending. Okay. That concludes our agenda. Does anybody else have anything else they want to bring up at this particular meeting?
I would just one thing, at some point, not that we need a reorganization meeting, but maybe discuss where we are, and not immediately, but I'm not sure if that's something that we came in a half hour early, or if we could designate first half hour. It seemed like it may be time to discuss not just areas, but how we're going to
Well, do we want to
get
close?
through the workload.
Yes. Do we want to close this meeting, which is a public meeting, and just essentially go into executive session and discuss this informally? Okay. All right. So, Peter, this concludes the meeting, and our next meeting will be November 18th, 2025.